Thanks for staying with us. So today on Women We Love, we shine the spotlight on one of our friends of the house.
Yes.
I don't want to call you pastor. Mrs. Coach Bola Matel Okoh, an award-winning attorney, executive leader, and a women's empowerment advocate. With over 3 decades of excellence in law and corporate leadership, she has been named among the leading ladies Africa's 100 most inspiring women and honored as the Super Achiever Peak Performing Woman of the Year 2023. She currently serves as a non-executive director at Wema Bank PLC and founder of the BMO Advisory Services and hosts the inspiring Excellent Life podcast. From law to leadership, wellness to women's empowerment. Welcome with us, Bola Matel Okoh. Have you on the show.
I am super excited to be back.
Yes.
And like I was just saying, I feel like it's an anniversary.
Yes.
Because I think it's been almost 2 years I was here on this very show.
And we've been monitoring your growth. You've been really empowering lots of women. There have been several cohorts of your women
leadership programs.
And
you were on one.
I was on one of them, and
yes.
it's been so impactful. Tell us a bit about your journey into leadership, especially for women. How has that been?
So, there's this thing they say that you find your purpose or purpose finds you. I like to think that purpose finds me. That's really how I describe my journey into women empowerment, because we were all in lockdown during COVID, and a very good friend of mine gifted me a program called Speak for Gold, and that's how I joined the program, and I met Safela Durotoye, who is an executive coach too. And that's how my journey into coaching started, because after that program, they started a program, executive coaching program that I took. And when I became a coach, I just thought to myself that in my journey, there's so many things I wish I knew that I would like to pass on to other women, because at the time I became a director at Wema Bank, there were a lot of things that I wish I'd known. So for me, I felt like that was my purpose, to be able to now pass on that that message and the learnings to other women, because I find that as I've progressed in this journey of women empowerment, a lot of women struggle in that area of trying to live the authentic life, which I always say is a balance between who you are internally and who you project yourself to be externally.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Okay, passing on to other women.
Yes.
I think that was my catch. Now, when we're passing learning to other women, education, values, and all of this, how receptive are women these days? Knowing fully well that we came from a place of, traditionally, this is what it is, societally, this is what it is, but the narratives are changing. So how receptive are women in this climate?
And so this is where authenticity comes in, because one of the most powerful lessons I've learned in my journey is the power of authentic relationship. Because I feel like people are able to embrace a message when it comes from a place of authenticity, right? Because there are times that we're trying to put a message out there, but it sounds really hollow, because there's really no authenticity to it. But I found out that the roles are changing, and a lot of women are getting more into leadership positions, which is why what I do, I believe, is so relevant. Because a lot of women, like you said, they do struggle, I remember once I asked my mentor, Mrs. Awushika, is there any such thing as being over ambitious? And she said, in relation to what? Because everybody's journey is different, when we talk about this, trying to accomplish your goals. And I always say that this question, can a woman have it all? It's so unfair. Because men never get asked that question, but we constantly have to deal with that question, can a woman have it all?
I like how you've gone, with it, because you also described as a super achiever. And, just before you came here, we were talking about Tiwa Savage and how it seems that when women are super achievers, we still ask them, when will you settle down? How, in your case, you're a super achiever and you are, you're doing all these things. Do you still feel like there's something else that you need, or the fact that you're married, does that help, with feeling whole and thinking I've achieved it all? Or would you say someone who hasn't married hasn't yet achieved completely?
Absolutely not. And it's so interesting, because one of the modules of the 6-week program, we talk about work-life balance. And I always play this video, and we discussed this same question, can a woman have it all? And I think for every person, it's personal. What, you know, we were, sometime, I think 2 days ago, we were talking about winning, a Zoom, and winning to me is very personal. And it's winning to Morayo is very personal.
Yeah.
And so for every woman, it is our right to decide what we want. And I don't think we should put ourselves in a box or succumb to the pressure of, oh, I have to be married to be deemed successful. I have to have children to be deemed successful. As long as individually I am fulfilled and I am where I want to be. And this is what we talk about. It takes me back to this old talk about authenticity, because we keep letting people define who we should be. And that's what it means to be inauthentic. Letting people shape the narrative of your life. So for people to say, this is who you need to be reckoned with, you know, and I don't get it. Because at the end of the day, I have to go into my room at night and be satisfied with the person I am.
Yeah, that's good. So when Mariah was describing you, I was just hyping. I was like, wow, this is so much and so interesting, you know. So far with all the women you've been handling, what will you say is the most difficult part for women in the leadership? And
it's been authentic, because people feel the pressure to conform. Because when you are appointed to a position, right, there is a way you are expected to behave. And that's why when I was thinking about this conference, I really wanted women who have been in public and have been free to live their authentic life. So one of my keynote speakers is Her Excellency Dolapo Oshibajo, who I've known for many, many, many years.
That is one authentic person.
We went to school together, and I remember that when she was the wife of our husband was vice president, people would be like, hey, why is she like this? Why is she so simple? And I'm like, for real? I have known this person for many, many years. This is who she is. So all of a sudden, she's the wife of the vice president. She's supposed to act in a different manner. And this is the lack of authenticity we're talking about. Allowing people to shape the narrative of our lives.
I love that you brought her up as an example, because I hear that narrative about her. Like, she's not out there, she's not taking, you know, she's not in places. But this is a woman who enjoys her gardening and enjoys her crocheting and everything. She's just, and you can look at her, and she has the love of her husband.
I know, and I'm like, what exactly?
I mean, she's winning to
with that. She is absolutely winning. You know,
who else should we expect at the conference?
So we also, of course, we have Ms. Awoshika. I mean, she has to be there. So we have two keynotes. So we have Mrs. Awoshika, and then we have Mrs. Oshibajo. Because I thought to myself, these are the two most authentic people I know in my life. And Mrs. Awoshika, I mean, she was there. She's always like, to thyself be true. You know. So, and then we also have a panel of female MDs and CEOs. So we have the MD of FCMB, Mrs. Yemisi Edum, she will be with us. We have Osayi Alile, she would be with us on that same panel. We have Binta Max Binije. These are all women I've interacted with, and I've just seen them, you know, to be very authentic. And then, of course, we have Mrs. Joke Bakari, the MD of MedPlus. And then we also have this panel of the members of Women's Lifestyle Hub, which is a community that I launched in 2022, December of 2022, just to be able to have a forum where people can express themselves. And I remember that there was one person that took the 6-week program, and she said to me that when I asked them to join the hub, because we do the 6-week and then we give you the opportunity to join the community. She said she did not hesitate, because she had had the opportunity to join those kind of communities, but she just thought that, look, there's always too much drama. People are so like trying to outdo each other, you know. But for me, our community, it's all about being yourself. So we have the ladies in the hub. So we have Folashade Femi Lawal. She's the director of MasterCard for West Africa. We have Cassandra. She works with Cassandra Ugoy. Then we have, what else do we have on that panel? We have Feromi Owolabi. She's the director of Purple Academy for Wema Bank. And then we have Chinwe Bode Akinwande, who is the head of brands and marketing for First Bank.
So how are we getting in? Free registration? How much do we have to pay? Because I've seen myself in the community already.
Let me correct you there.
Okay.
people say pay. You're not paying. You are making an investment.
So,
that.
let's not even go there, because usually Mrs. Shua pay us come and talk about that. Let's not go into the payment part.
Yeah.
But
you're all invited, though. I would love to have all of you as my special guests.
Thank you
So,
very much.
yeah.
I wanted to go into why you think that this is necessary at this time, because there are lots of women out there. They go for so many conferences, and they're almost overwhelmed with a lot of information. Why is this conference different?
Because for me, one of the most important things I want to be able to do at the conference is to give people permission to speak their truth, right? And that's one thing that I've said to my organizers, that I want people to walk into a room and not be able to hold back to say, I don't want to say who I am, or I don't want to talk about something because people will see me in a particular way. And also, it's really about helping people get clarity. You know, I was talking before about how authenticity is about living who you are internally on the external. And I find that a lot of people don't have that clarity because they feel one way internally and they have the pressure to behave in a particular way.
That's true.
So this conference is really about having honest, authentic conversations to say it's okay. And I have something I'm planning to give people permission. So I'm not going to let the cat out of the box.
I don't know if it's out
it's going to be a very authentic moment.
Okay, so I have a question. I feel like it will help with authenticity, but I don't know how it will work. But let me just ask it anyway. And it's about competition. I brought it up because you had mentioned that some people say they've joined these groups before and just the drama. And it's this competition amongst women that we hear all the time. And it's almost like that is how we're described most of the time, that when women come together, that competition rears its head. But it's always described as a negative. If it's something that's just a part of us, is there a positive to being competitive, or finding yourself in that situation?
I'm very competitive.
Okay.
My children will tell you that, mommy, you have to go. So there's a difference between being competitive and inspiring each other to do great things.
Yeah.
So, and I think that you can be competitive, but also root for people in your network, which is really what I encourage people to do in Women's Lifestyle Hub, to say, you know what, collaborate with people. We were in Dubai for the International Women's Leadership Conference, and the theme of the conference was about collaboration. Because what is collaboration? Collaboration is coming together with someone who allows me to do something that I cannot do by myself, right? And so there are a lot of things we cannot accomplish by ourselves. And there's nothing wrong in collaborating, but the right thing to do is to be able to find, the magic is to be able to find the right person to collaborate with.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So it's finding that right person to collaborate with. So for me, there's nothing wrong with competition, really. I mean, I love sports and I love tennis. So I always talk about Venus and Serena. And I remember I would say to my children that I don't understand why Serena would be beating up on her big sister, that much. And my son would say to me, Mommy, it's because you've never played sports. That when you play sports and you are competitive, you don't care who's in front of you. You want to win, So there's nothing wrong about being competitive, because really it's the desire to be excel and be the best. And I always say I'm very competitive because I am so driven to be the best at whatever I do. So there's really nothing wrong with that. But as long as we're not pulling each other down.
So you're one woman that is of many parts. You're a lawyer, you're a non-executive director at a pastor. You're a pastor.
You forget how I describe myself. I say I'm a pastor by calling, a lawyer by training, a banker by default, a podcaster by design, and the excellent life coach. And
exactly. So the question is, how do you function in all these? All these
grace, and more grace. I said this, I think I said this the last time I came here, and it's about recognizing every season of my life and what is doable in any particular season. And I tell women this all the time, that I am not Superwoman, but I recognize seasons of my life and what is achievable. I mean, my children are grown. My youngest child now is 24.
Empty nester.
I'm an empty nester,
around the world.
So I find that I can do a lot of these things now, but 10, 15 years ago, honestly, I couldn't do it, right? So it's about recognizing that season of your life and realizing that. And right now, I'm at what I told my husband the other day, I'm pushing hard. Because I know in another 10 years, I probably will not be able to do all those things. So I'm putting that pressure on myself to do it because, like Mr. Awushika will say, I want to die empty. I want to give everything I can to the world. And, you know, when they write my, what's it called, epitaph or whatever, they're saying that she gave her all and she died empty. So that's really what it is.
So does this also speak to women, like you just mentioned, not to beat themselves to it when they feel that they're overwhelmed with family life and being
that's what I
still getting
these goals they desire? And I remember there was a young lady that came to me. She has young children. And she was like, "Oh, Coach Pema, I want to do this. I want to do that." And I said, "Slow down, slow down." Because for me, there was a time that I was totally happy being a wife, totally happy being a
you have put balm on some wounds right now.
Right now, my children are grown, and my children are rooting for me. When I became an executive coach at 53, I remember my middle son, he said to me, "Mommy, I am so proud of you that at 53 you are still pursuing your goals." So your children want you to succeed, but guess what? They will root for you when you have poured yourself into them. And they know that now it's, you know, you are trying to also be the very best of yourself. You know? So
that's what so amongst all the 5 things Morel mentioned, which one is the most interesting one for you?
I love being a pastor because for me that's my first calling, you know, and I love being, and that's why when I describe myself, that's always the first. I start with I'm a pastor by calling. And I believe that everything I've been able to do is by the grace of God. So I feel like that is the most important. And that's what gives me balance. I was talking to my son the other day, because I watch my sons and I kind of try to see when they're getting out of alignment. So I was saying to him, I said, look, you are getting out of alignment. And that means that the spiritual aspect, you need to go back. Because that's really the anchor. You know, and then he smiled. He said, "Mommy, how do you know I've not been to church?" Because at the end of the day, that's the anchor. That's what centers everything else.
So you have all boys. How do you cope with girlfriends and stuff like that? How do you like?
Please tell us
how it is. You know, like
still
you look at them like my son. And they're really handsome boys.
I hope my children are watching this because my children. So I have one son. He will tell you he just introduced the first girl to me in ever. Because you know he's always like, "Mommy, your standards are too high." But you know, I said to him, I said, "You know what? I love you, and anyone you bring home, I love."
Like, what do you look out for? How do you get them?
So you know, one thing I've said to my sons, at least my 2 older sons, the younger one, he still has some ways to go. I always tell them that look for a woman that would complement whoever you believe God has called you to be. Because when God gave Adam Eve, He said, "Your helpmate." So I always tell them, project. I remember I said to them one day, I said, think about 10 years from now. What do you see yourself doing? And think of the person that would be able to help you do whatever you're doing. Because I think now, me and my husband were saying the other day that a lot of people think that marriage is just something that you try, and then if it doesn't work
out, we got
I'm telling you, but
that's the modern way.
I'm telling you, people don't overthink marriage now. Too, you know, before I got married, I remember I was thinking, "My God, what if I get it wrong? What if people these days they are like, okay, I like someone, I get married, it doesn't work. You know,
my bag.
I get somebody else."
We have to wrap up, but let's finally when's our conference?
Okay.
The websites that we just.
Okay. So the conference is on the 8th of October, 2025.
That's far now.
I know,
Okay.
That's less than 5 weeks away. Oh my God, it's not far. You know, I tell you something interesting. So we opened up registration, and we had to close VIP because you know Lagos people, everybody wants to do VIP registration. I had to close it because I mean, people. No, it's not far. I even think that we're a bit behind. You know, because that's a perfectionist in me too. Because if you think about it, August is done. So we basically have September, you know.
So it's the Executive Women
Summit. It's going to be on October 8th. You can go to bolamatelokoh.com/TEWS to get details, and all you ladies are invited.
Thank you. So good to have you back.
I know.
And you're so bubbly. I'm happy that Lagos has not drained your energy, because when she came, she was so bubbly, fresh from the US and trying to get everything. I mean, you're still bubbly, but you know, I hope the next 1 year.
I know the interesting thing. I went to bed at 3. Even me, I surprised myself. I was like, I love tennis. So US Open is on. So I've been watching tennis. So anyway, as I close, Morayo, I want to thank you. I've known Morayo since she was 16, I think.
Yes, she told us.
Yes, so she came to the US and then she was in our church. She was in Rutgers University. So Morayo, I want to wish you the very best as you go into the next chapter of your life. And I want to prophesy and say that your best years are yet ahead of you. In Jesus' name, that as you go forth in God's speed and God's grace, and God will perfect all that concerns you. In Jesus' name.
I think this is like full circle from when you were 16.
I know, right? Yes, it's amazing.
That's all we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Bye. Oh, that was awesome. I always